Right, okay guys, so as you would have seen from a previous video, we recently went to Kensington and we visited somewhere called the Fan Strike Back, which was a Star Wars exhibition. And if you remember me saying it was meant to be an hour experience, we did get around it a little quicker than that, but you know, it's quite a way to go to Kensington just for an hour's visit. Well, if you remember me saying on that video, that's not the only reason we went there. So the other reason we went there was because of the Science Museum, but not just because of the museum. But let's talk about the museum first. And while I'm talking to you, there'll be a few photos flashing up. So the parts that I definitely enjoyed, I mean, I love all the space stuff, you know, like the NASA stuff, Apollo missions, all that sort of stuff, all interests me. You know, they've got huge like rockets, why am I saying missiles? Huge rockets going through there, all on, across the ceiling. They've got the LEM, which was the lunar module. They've even got like the astronaut suits and all that sort of stuff, which is all really interesting. But a bit I really liked the most was when we got round to the part they call the mathematics part. Now, this is when you start seeing things like Enigma devices, Commodore PETs, and then you start seeing things like, and this was some of the best parts for me, it was what looked like a gold-plated computer of some sort. Yeah, that was interesting. But it was when you then got to the Apple II, and then of course the Lisa, which was quite an interesting one because there was a woman next to us, you know, nothing to do with us, but she said to her mum, she went, "Lisa, what an horrible name for a computer." And I looked at her and I said, it was named after his daughter. She went, "Oh, that makes sense," you know. And it was one of them moments where it's like, you know, I actually gave someone a little bit of knowledge, you know, that I've picked up, you know, one of these many useless facts that's roaming around in my head, you know, but it was just nice to share that with someone that didn't know that. So yeah, and so, yeah, she was like, "Oh, that explains it," you know, but up until that point, she thought it was a horrible name. So, but there was a lot of wacky looking devices as well. And as you're looking, you'll see pictures of them. But also what I did like was there was a kind of like a display up in the ceiling. Say ceiling, it was up on the wall, but it was very high up near the ceiling. And I managed to get a photo in the end. It was quite tricky. There was a lot of people looking at it because they had many displays of old mobile phones. And the interesting thing about it is that was probably the most viewed thing in there. And the reason for that is because we've all had one of these phones, without a doubt. If you're from my generation, you would have had at least one of these phones in these displays. I saw at least 4 of my old phones in there. So it was nice just to have a look. And I was saying to Connor, "See, look, this is what mobile phones used to look like." And I was showing him like the very first Motorola brick I had back when I was 18. I'm like, "Look, this is what a phone looked like." And Connor's looking at it as if to say, "What on earth?" You know, like we're dinosaurs, you know. So it was interesting. I got to share it with him. He got to see what I had back in the day and how lucky he is for what he has now, you know. So anyway, we got through all of that, but like I say, that wasn't the reason or the only reason why we was there. We was also there for a gaming experience. Now this is an interesting one. I think what we'll do is we'll have a look at the footage and then I'll give my final thoughts afterwards.
Close your eyes. close your eyes.
So you stand now. Well done, Connor, for getting out of the way. Well done. Yeah, the button's gone. Right, okay, so you would have seen the footage there. One of the things I want to point out straight away, you probably would have seen, because some of it's photos, but I did get a bit of footage as well. You would have seen there Connor on the LAN display they had. So they had a LAN unit in the middle, and they were all playing Halo. And he jumped on, and he's quite good at these things. As you guys know, he's used to be into Call of Duty and Fortnite. I was more into my Call of Duty, but he liked his Fortnite as well. So as a result, he's pretty good at these games. And he jumped on, and he started annihilating people right from the start. He killed the odd one here and there. But when it really took off was when some little idiot next to him decided to teabag him, and that kind of pissed him off to a point where he then went out of his way to not just kill that kid lots of times, but all the others as well. There was loads of adults, and he just went on a rampage killing everybody. At one point he jumped in a tank and was doing it, and then after that he got bored with that and just run around just shooting everybody. So you would have seen from that footage, people got their asses handed to them big time. Just a little bit of a message to you little idiots out there, yeah? Don't teabag people on games. It pisses them off. And then they have their own back. So it's just one of them things, isn't it? Don't get me wrong. They were all lads about his age that were doing these things. But even still, you might think you're being clever, but trust me, it will bite you in the arse one day. So like I say, I think Connor made his point. But anyway, moving on with the rest of it. So, what you might have seen from some of the pictures was, there was a lot of systems there. However, if you're a collector like me, and like most people that have got these channels on YouTube, we've pretty much got a lot of these systems. There's not many that you wouldn't have. In my case, there was probably, 4 systems I think that I didn't have. CD32, for example. If you're going to put a CD32 there for people to play on, don't put Zool on it. That's not the best game on a CD32. That does not advertise that system well at all. Zool is not only not a great game to begin with, but it's certainly not good on a CD32. I could definitely think of better games you could have put on there. Then you add the Mega CD. Now I've got a Mega Drive, but these days I don't have a Mega CD. Back in the day, yes, but not now. If you're going to put a Mega CD there, make sure the controllers work. They put some cheap knockoff controllers on there, and they didn't work. And then there was a couple of other systems. There was various problems. There was systems with controllers that didn't work. Like one I went on, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was a Nintendo, an NES. Don't get me wrong, I've got an NES, but I thought I'd have a go on it while I was there, and the left button didn't work on it, So this is one of the problems, right? Don't be wrong, it wasn't massively expensive, but when you're paying £8 a head, and there's 3 of us, right? I think we ended up getting a family deal, so it did work out cheaper than that. I think it was like £18 maybe for the 3 of us. But the point is, when you're paying for this, you're paying for an experience. And if you then get there and you find that not only are the rubbish games on certain systems, when you could have picked better ones, but then you're also putting busted controllers or cheap controllers on there, it's just not making the experience great for people. And it really isn't. It was nice to see some micros, so this isn't a complete failure. There was I saw an Amstrad, a Spectrum, pretty sure there was a Commodore 64 as well. There was an Amiga, but people were on that, so I didn't get a chance to get on that. I did have a good go on Super Hang-On. I've got it, but at the time a lot of the systems were busy, so it was something I had a chance to get on. They did have a particular lane where it was all fighting games, and you know me guys, I love my fighting games. And don't get me wrong, most of the fighting games that were there were ones I had. But there was the odd one I didn't, but you just couldn't get on. They were so busy. People were on them. They did have a Neo Geo, again, couldn't get on that. Someone was on that, which was a shame because I'll be honest, like, I did know someone when I was younger that had a Neo Geo, but I really didn't have much experience with it. So it would have been something I would have loved to have played, but we was there for, I think, 2 hours and I didn't get a chance. There was someone on it the entire time. So, yeah. The problem with it is, this was the problem with it, you pay to get in, but it's not really a time period. You kind of leave when you want. So as a result, some people are literally jumping on one machine and they'd sit on it for hours. You know, so like I say, we was there for 2 hours and Neo Geo had the same person on it from beginning to end. So the other good thing was you had a VR area. Again, didn't get to go on that. Same people was on that the entire time. They were a couple of families with their kids. They pretty much monopolised it, didn't get on it. There was 3 or 4 tables that had handhelds. They were quite clever with that. They had the common sense to like put lanyards on them so you can't run off with them. You know, you had your Game Boy Advances, Game Boys, Game Boy Colors, you know, so on and so forth. It was all there. I'm trying to remember if I saw a Game Gear and a Lynx. I don't think I saw any of them. What was nice, they had was it a grandstand? I'm trying to think, was it a grandstand or was it the other one? One of them type of units. They had a ping pong there, and that was quite interesting because Cara and Connor had a go on that, and that's the first time Connor's played something like that old. Like, if I'm honest, the oldest stuff he's played on is like Commodore 64. So he's never played on anything like a grandstand, like a, you know, one of them basic TV units. So it was quite interesting watching him play that. But yeah, like I say, it wasn't a complete loss. It wasn't. I mean, we went there for the museum as well, and also the Star Wars experience. It was by no means a failure, but it was a bit of a shame. And I had to kind of put a brave face on it because Cara had paid for this, and I didn't want to upset her. She thought she was doing a good thing. You know, she thought it'd be a nice idea, and it was a nice idea. But the problem is that when you've got most of these systems already, it kind of makes that experience a bit pointless because I could play most of these things now at home, if you get what I mean. But like I say, I didn't want to sit there and make bad of it. So, you know, I did my best for her to think I was having a good time. So, and I was having a good time. It's not a lie, I was. It was just a shame. The systems that I really wanted to play, I couldn't really play. And so it was a bit of a letdown for me. But that wasn't her fault, and it certainly isn't our fault. That's the people who hold the venue's fault. You know, these things should be checked. Now, is it that they don't check these things, or is it that, and I've heard people say this before when they've gone to events, people don't look after these things? Is that what the problem was? People throwing the controllers around and that, and that's why they weren't working? Could well be. Could well be. But there's no excuse in putting Zor on a CD32. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for that. Whoever put that on is an idiot. Like, there's something wrong with you. Like, that's not a good game really on any system, let alone a CD32. If you really want people to play that, do not put Zool on it. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Like I say, if you're not a collector like me, this is a great experience and you'll probably really love it. But if you've got mostly systems like I have, maybe not so much. But anyway, till next time, take care, stay safe. Nerdy Geezer out.